Alright, so today I want to talk about this very old anime that recently turned 10 years old this year, that I've only had the chance to get into recently. Originally, I promised myself that I would never watch it because all the YouTubers that I watched trash talked it, and the only reason I started watching this show is because my favorite VTuber, Nora Vesper, made a lot of references to this series, so I got curious about it.
You got a tiny hat.
What? How tiny?
Like a
Or
Love
just
Live
real
hat.
small.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a clip.
A Love Live clip-on hat.
Like, yeah, all right, all right. Yeah, I like Love Live. It's good. It's a good series.
That was the best decision I've made in recent times, or depending on how you view it, the worst. After watching it, I think that the only reason that people hate on the show is because they hate idol culture, but I can assure you that if you watch this anime, you will fall in love with it like I have. And that's what we're here to talk about today. If you don't know, Love Live is a multimedia project created by Hajime Yatate and Sakurako Kimeno and co-produced by Kadokawa through, well, yeah, I'm just reading this off Wikipedia. But to sum it up, it's a multimedia franchise created in 2010, with its main focus being on multiple anime series that began in 2013, including Love Live School Idol Project, Love Live Sunshine, Love Live Nijigasaki, and Love Live Superstar. In this video, I'm only going to be focusing on the first three, since I haven't started Superstar at the time of writing this video. Now to the actual plot, Love Live School Idol Project was released in 2013, and is about Kosaka Honoka, who finds out that her school, Otonokizaka Girls High School, is shutting down, and the only way to save it is by starting a school idol group called Use.
それはもしかしてミューズのことを言ってるのではありませんですわよね。ユニコと書いて名前を間違えるですって。ああ、ミューズはスクールアイドルたちにとっての伝説、聖域、聖典、宇宙にも等しき生命の源ですわよ。その名前を間違えるとは肩払いたいです。
I mean, Muse, with her two childhood friends, and eventually 6 other girls. While on the other hand, Love Live Sunshine is about Takumi Chika, who gets inspired by Muse, and starts her own school idol group called Hawkwars? Hawkwars? It's officially pronounced as Aqua, with no particular reason behind it. I guess it's just like that because they said so. Chika also starts her school idol group with her one childhood friend and 7 other girls. Now, you probably think that they both sound very similar, and that's because they are, but they do shine brighter than each other in different aspects, such as the story and characters. Both series focus on the hardships of climbing up the ranks of being a school idol, and they each go through their own different and not so different struggles and adventures throughout their high school journey. Now I do think that the similarities in the two come from the fact that the writers didn't want to stray too far away from what made the franchise popular in the first place. To show you how similar the two groups are, I'll show you this little graphic that I made. Alright, so here's my perfect piece of art, as you can see. Now it may look absolutely horrifying when you just first look at it, but you can see in the middle here's a bunch of character traits, which is basically like each character's main or most prominent character trait that indicate each character. Now as you can see, the first one is blonde with foreign blood. Now if you look at the lines, each one is color coded so you can tell which character it goes to. Like purple right here is Mari, and then this blue color is Ellie. Now you can see that obviously they're both blonde, and one of their main character traits is that they're not fully Japanese. Obviously they mix and match them, so it's not just like the same characters but just a different design. So yeah, you can pause the video to look at this graph just to get a sense of what each character's like and how similar they are to their counterparts. Even though they do have similar personality traits, I guarantee you that you won't feel like you're watching the same group twice. Even if you've never seen Love Live, I think you've definitely seen Love Live. Maybe you've seen the insanely popular meme of Nico Yazawa's Nico Nico Ni, which could be the biggest anime meme of all time, or maybe you've seen Snow Halation, which is a huge meme in actually multiple ways. The original Snow Halation got mainstream when Siva Gunner, a music rip parody channel, made a parody of it and it went pretty viral. Now I don't know all the details, there's probably videos you can watch that I'll link in the description if I find them, but that's basically what happened. Snow Halation is also an extremely popular song to play in rhythm games, with the most notable being Osu. Personally, it was the first ever Love Live song I heard before I watched the series, and I instantly fell in love with the song. Then lastly, we have the catalyst of Love Live memes. Yeah, I'm sure we all saw this video back in 2019. Can you believe that's Nico Yazawa? The same Nico Yazawa? Fucking kill me, I'm never doing that shit again. Now that you know what Love Live is, let's talk about my feelings towards this franchise. Obviously, Love Live is a story about achieving triumph and conquering your challenges to achieve your goal, and that's a solid inspiration for anyone. I only got into this franchise in June of this year, so it hasn't been too long, but Love Live has still gotten me through hard times. Honestly, because my whole entire life's a hard time. I think as cliche as it might sound, I think watching, or rather experiencing Love Live has changed my life. Love Live has quickly become one of my favorite anime and even pieces of media of all time. Something I haven't even touched upon though, is the music. Obviously, Love Live is a franchise about music, and has a lot of it, and I mean a lot. The entire Love Live series has easily over 500 songs and still counting. Every single Love Live song that I've heard has been good, some more than others, but there hasn't been a single bad Love Live song in my opinion, in its almost 14 years of existence. Of course they do the standard J-pop, idol genre, as expected, but they also go into other genres. For example, one of my favorite songs, Date Date Amujo, is one of Muse's only rock songs. Even if all my meat writing of this franchise doesn't implore you to watch the anime, I would still recommend you to listen to at least a few of their songs. I absolutely promise you, you'll find some songs that you'll fall in love with. If you're wondering, by the way, here's a small compilation of some of my favorite songs. I even might do a video or a stream rating all Love Live songs if you want to see that. Something else I haven't mentioned is the seiyus. If you don't know, the seiyus or voice actors of each character is a real life idol that's a part of the real life counterpart of the groups in the anime. They're insanely popular in Japan and even outside the country. Personally, I think they have the perfect balance of acting like the characters enough to where it's recognizable, but they aren't fully acting to the point of it being cringe, and instead creating a mixture of their own personality and the character's personality. They even do basically everything that the characters do in the anime, like singing in concerts, competing with rival idol groups, have training routines together, go on misadventures in foreign countries, and I just completely lied. Only the first one of those is true. I can't believe you actually believed me. But the real reason I wanted to bring up the real world version of the groups is because look how great this looks. Anyone would be a fan of them, right? Well, everyone except me. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not because I dislike them or anything, but it's actually because I already fell in love with the characters that the seiyus portray, and now you're telling me to do the same with real people? I just can't do it. I'm holding back from being a fan of the real life groups just because if I was, then I would literally eat, drink, and breathe Love Live 24/7. I just know that if I let myself enjoy their content, I will never escape from idol hell. Maybe I'll ease myself into it over time, but right now I just can't take the dive. But back to a topic I want to touch on, which is people hating on Love Live when they haven't even watched it. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I believe people hate on the show just because of their view on Japanese idol culture, but I do think that another factor is just the amount of characters in the groups. I've heard that people think 9 members in a group is way too many, and I did agree, up until I watched the show. Each one of the characters are so well written that having 9 characters doesn't feel like too much since you'll fall in love with every single one of them. The one and only problem with having that many characters is that not all of them will get equal screen time, especially in Nijigasaki, where the group has 13 main characters. Now speaking of Nijigasaki, now, I have mixed opinions about Nijigasaki. If you don't know, Love Live Nijigasaki High School Club is actually a spin-off of the main Love Live series and has no correlation to the previous 2 series whatsoever, with it still being the 3rd anime series from the Love Live franchise. From what I know, it's based on the mobile game Love Live School Idol Festival instead of being an entirely original story. It greatly differs from its predecessors by just a couple key factors. Firstly, the main character isn't who you expect it to be. It isn't the orangish hair character that it usually is, but instead you, even though Ayumu is still the poster girl for the series. Now that leads us onto our next major difference, which is the fact that one of the main characters isn't actually an idol. She's kind of like the manager who does all the behind the scenes work of the idol club. Speaking of the idol club in the series, they aren't actually an idol group, and instead they're all solo idols that are all part of a school club, hence the name of the series. The next and biggest difference of Love Live Nijigasaki is that there's no Love Live. If you don't know, Love Live in the universe of, well, Love Live is a competition that all school idol groups in the country compete in to be the best school idol group. In Nijigasaki, Love Live is only mentioned a few times, and instead they replace it with a school idol festival. Now, I'm not actually sure for the reason for this in the story. They probably explained it in an episode, but I just completely forgot. But if you know, you can tell me in the comments. The biggest difference outside the story though, is that the writers realized that their original targeted audience isn't actually their main audience. At the beginning of the franchise, Love Live was targeted towards men, and specifically middle-aged men, and was one of the first idol franchises to do so. You can easily tell that the animators wanted to add some ecchi elements, and if they weren't held back, they would 100% do so. From some of the camera angles to even the shading of the clothes, you can see it's basically softcore ecchi. There was even a big controversy about a collaboration with Shika being a promotional mascot for some farming organization in Shizuoka. Now personally, 10 out of 10 times, I'd say shut up, it doesn't really matter. But in this specific instance, I think I do agree to an extent that this is just a little too much. Like, that isn't how skirts work unless they are vacuum tight, and that's also definitely not long enough to cover anything. Revolving back to my original topic, my point is, the shading on the clothes is definitely done to please their target audience, but after Sunrise found out that their audience gender split is surprisingly almost 50-50, they stopped doing the excessive shading and the suspicious camera angles. Now back to my point, Nijigasaki made huge changes that I would rather not have, but I still enjoyed it a lot regardless. I guess maybe watching the same thing 3 times in a row might be tiring to some people, and to be honest, probably me too, so I guess the changes weren't an entirely bad thing. I do think that the story though isn't as strong as the first 2 series is. There wasn't really a clear main goal, and the characters barely got an even amount of screen time. Thinking back on it now, half of the main 9 girls from the first season have little to nothing about them, to the point that they really felt like side characters. For example, Emma, Ai, Shizuku, and Karin only had one character trait and nothing else, and not even fully explored at that. I even always forget that Emma is a character in the show at all, and when I do, I always mistake her name for something else, and I even almost forgot to write her name in the script. Every character had their own episode exploring them a bit, then they just didn't do anything else for the rest of the seasons. That was my biggest problem with Nijigasaki, and I do hope that they fix it in the trilogy of movies that they announced. Even though I'm shitting on Nijigasaki, I don't think it's bad at all. It's just that I was expecting to love it like I did with the first 2 series, but I just didn't. Obviously, that's a personal preference, and you might love Nijigasaki, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I just didn't fall in love with it as much. I think after this video, it's no secret that I love Love Live. If I were to give each series a score, it would be SIP at a 9.3, Sunshine at a 9.6, and Nijigasaki at a 7.8. Now after all this, you may be wondering,
Hey Phil, where's your favorite girl?
and to answer that question, I'm happy to say that you're just gonna have to wait for my video where I rank every single Love Live girl. Now, finally to end, this video took the longest to make out of any of my videos, and this is my first time ever asking this, but I would really appreciate it if you subscribed to my channel and maybe left a like. Anyways, if you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it.